had this great idea as the new DA. I wanted the records of Fulton County DA's office to be equally accessible to the indigent and the rich. Many people abused that, and so I had to change it in term 2. I mentioned this because I didn't take any money during the first time for open records, and so there's no other reason that a DA would take money in that I can think of. If there is one, I'll have to be educated on it.
As it relates to this you referenced there was 2 or 3 other accounts?
There was a couple of accounts. We've been auditing all of my audits. You know, once y'all started attacking me, they audited me every other week. There is no DA. I just passed the DOJ audit.
Do you recognize the signature on this?
It's like DB, Dexter Bond. Deputy of Operations. That's why he would see these kind of things and I would not.
Do you know what the allowed or the restrictions around the allowed uses of this account, of which
all money that we have has to be used for the betterment of my office?
And the only source of funds that you're aware of in this account was money that was in the account when you signed it over from former district attorney?
That is correct.
Okay. Are you aware of anything else that has been paid for out of this?
No. Make sure you understand me clearly so y'all don't. I'm sure other things have been paid for out of this. Your question was, am I aware of other things that have been paid for? I can't recall that in 2021 or 22 or any other year.
What's the reason that this account will be used versus the voucher system with the county that I've had up on the screen a couple of times so far?
They would make us, I go to them if this is what I need done for the office. I don't make selections on what account is used. I don't even know what all those accounts are. I can't tell you that this account is the account that you can buy books out of. This is the account that you can do this out of. But I know they have those kind of delineations with the county. But I don't get that. You're in the weeds.
And it's your understanding that this account would have been something you referenced in audit, the state senate's never done an audit?
Oh, I've been audited a million. The county has audited me. The federal government. I have been audited and audited and audited.
And is it your understanding that this account would have been captured?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, so we hear y'all.
I was asking you earlier about essentially what I'm just going to colloquially refer to as side work that is done by full-time staff within your office. And I believe that you told me essentially you're not micromanaging. There's no prohibition on side work. Is that correct?
Well, I told you specifically with my investigators, there is an absolute process. They cannot work as investigators or police officers because that is what they are. I think some people don't understand that in a district attorney's office, the investigators are sworn law enforcement officers with very great careers. It's something that a lot of them come to do after they've been police for many years. And we do have a sign-off process because I don't want my investigators to work at nightclubs. I know they pay a lot per hour, but I would prefer them not to do that kind of work, although I do allow them to do extra jobs.
Most recently, as it relates to I will call it the larger story of the case recently, that was a ruling relative to an appearance of impropriety on this case.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the appearance of impropriety that resulted in your disqualification from the case. Prior to that, your office was investigating the now Lieutenant Governor, was not Lieutenant Governor at the time, Burt Jones. Is that correct?
I don't understand the question.
Has your office ever conducted an investigation into then Senator or Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones as it relates to the election?
How does that help you with legislation? Yes.
Don't answer it as part of the deliberative process.
Is it not a matter of public record, Governor? I'm laying a foundation as you would call it. We're getting there. You're objecting to the it's deliberative as to whether or not Lieutenant Governor Jones is part of an investigation?
It is deliberative because we know he's part of the investigation and he was indicted by two, or recommended by one and by a second one. But the reason he was indicted.
I'm not asking for the reason he was indicted. So I believe that we can agree on the grounds that Lieutenant. The question is the degree to which Madam DA was aware that Jeff DeSantis, while he was serving in the office, was the registered agent for a business named Charlie Bailey for Georgia.
What's your question?
My question is, are you aware that while he was employed by your office, Mr. DeSantis was serving as a registered agent and secretary of an entity called Charlie Bailey for Georgia?
I don't think I knew that until now. But Charlie Bailey, who's now head of the Democratic Party, I consider a great personal friend.
I heard that he was maybe in the Capitol today. I haven't had the opportunity to meet him yet.
Former assistant.
Are you aware of any work that Mr. DeSantis did on Mr. Bailey's campaign
Nope,
when he ran for lieutenant governor or for, I believe this was for attorney general?
I'm not aware.
Are you aware of general campaign work that Mr. DeSantis is involved in?
I don't know. Am I aware that he's ever been involved in campaigns?
While he's been working for your office, I'll clarify that.
No, I'm not sure that I do know that he's working for campaigns while employed for the office, but I certainly know that in a prior life that he did work on campaigns. He's like, you know, as we get older, we tell war stories.
Well, it varies, Governor.
It says 2/1/2018, which would have been long before I was there, but then it says last annual registration year 2022. So I'm not sure at what point Mr. DeSantis did this. I'm not sure it tells what it purports to tell, but it's on the screen.
Well, the secretary as well is what I was asking about, which is the role of an officer. The officer information is noted there at the bottom. Did you say you were a supporter of Mr. Bailey when he ran for attorney general?
I said that Mr. Bailey was a friend. I think that was a cute little question you asked. But what I said was that he was a good friend. He used to be an assistant district attorney that reported to me when he was a younger lawyer. I was his supervisor. If you know Attorney Bailey, he's a white male, probably around 40 years old now. And I just adore him and his family.
So you don't recall if you supported him for attorney general?
I would support Mr. Bailey in anything he does. He has great integrity. Anything he wants to do, I'm here to support him.
So you did support him when he ran for attorney general?
I'm
trying to get to the core of the question here. We know that Mr. Bailey there was a finding of conflict in this case, specifically relative to Mr. Bailey. I'm sure that part of that may have been to the campaign contributions that were made on behalf of the DA to Mr. Bailey, which is now on the screen. There was a fundraiser, I believe, that was the acute conflict that the judge recognized, and so that's what we're getting into. This is directly applicable to this case.
I don't find it relevant, but he's a friend, and I gave him some money when he was running. And I'm asking people to give Tanya Miller for Georgia some money so we can get a good attorney general in here. Not a corrupt one that puts false things on screens.
So Mr. Jones was a candidate for lieutenant governor. Is that correct?
It should be noted at the time of that ruling, which I still find to be ridiculous. Mr. Bailey was not running against Mr. Jones. He was running against Kwanzaa, and I can't remember his name. It was a Democratic race. But the ruling was found. I take exception with many of that judge's actions. But, I'll leave that for another day.
At the time of the fundraiser that you did, it was in a primary, and you knew that whoever
that's a great point. It was a primary. It was not a general. He was not running against Burt Jones. That was a fabrication of facts. He was running against Kwanzaa Hall. His name just came to me. You get older and you forget things, but he was running against Kwanzaa Hall, and I did a fundraiser for him. That is absolutely correct. And he need to give me some money back, $2,500. I need a contribution.
Mr. Jones moved to have you disqualified from the investigation based on your fundraiser. Is that correct?
Yep, and that's something else that I'd like y'all to take up as a legislative body. I think that when judges rule on things that are directly in the favor of legislatures, we should have a bar of when they can be appointed to the next bench, because I'm watching a lot of judges in my career do things in an effort to kind of say, pick me, get promoted. And I think that it would be some good legislation of this body and of the legislature to say that if a judge directly rules on something in the favor of any legislature, it should bar them from being promoted. That'd be some legislation, since y'all want some help with legislation.
And Judge McBurney granted the motion to Mr. Jones to have you disqualified. Is that correct?
Correct. And then surprise, Scandalakis has dismissed the case.
We're going to get to Scandalakis in just a second, but Judge McBurney said that it was, quote, a plain and actual and untenable conflict. Is that correct?
He did.
He described it, I believe, in oral commentary, and stated that he regarded the optics were horrific, described it as a what were you thinking moment.
The left
and then
circuit described McBurney as unethical. We're going to talk about, people pontificating. Is that what we're doing here?
we're going through the fact pattern of this case. And then, as you referenced, Mr. Peter Scandalakis, as head of PAC, continued the investigation after you were disqualified. He concluded the investigation did not further warrant further action after interviewing Mr. Jones 4 times and reading your entire file, among other things. Did you give your entire file?
Mr. Scandalakis has never read our entire file. When he just dismissed this case, there's no way that he read the entire file. There's no way that he reviewed all the evidence. It's no way that he interviewed witnesses. But as Counselor set up, shitting and grinning in front of the media, saying, "Oh, we know this case gonna be dismissed." I bet you do.
Are you familiar with a company called Canal Media Partners?
It's my fundraiser. I think that's the name of my fundraisers. No. Canal Media Partners is who I pay to do filming or something. It's somebody I pay.
On the screen, we've got your 2024 summary from the State Ethics Commission page, and Canal Media Partners is listed as the second highest paid expenditure of your successful DA campaign.
They do great commercials. Use them.
To the tune of $527,000. Is my understanding from looking at their website that they do media buying, among other things.
That's why I won by 87%.
And there's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Chris Hutman who
is brilliant.
Does work for you. So you're familiar with Mr. Hutman?
He is brilliant.
What does Mr. Hutman do?
He buys media space. And if you're an elected official listening, you might want to hire him, because he is able to go and find you the best rate so that you can get the best media. So really the best bang for their buck. Don't mean this to be a commercial, but I did win by 87%. You might want to work with him.
His LinkedIn shows present work with or employment at. It doesn't clarify either, but it shows that he's been at Canal, which we've talked about, for the last 13 years, and at a company called 2020 Insight LLC for the last 15 years. Are you familiar with a company called 2020 Insight?
It sounds familiar, but no. I might have paid him. I just don't remember.
According to 2020 Insight's current website, it is a partnership between, they don't say partnership here, but this states under their Who Are We, it lists Mr. Jeff DeSantis and Chris Hutman, Mr. DeSantis being the same one that serves in your office, and Mr. Hutman being the gentleman that we just talked about that you referenced.
I don't know that he currently still works with him, but we could have got to that question 3 questions ago. I know at one point they worked with each other.
The website for saying that Mr. DeSantis is there is current, but it's your testimony today that you don't know whether he does work with 2020 Insight before.
I don't know that he actually continues to work with them, but I certainly know that in the past that he worked with him.
Is it your understanding that Mr. DeSantis and Mr. Hutman were business partners?
I really don't know what their professional relationship was, so I don't want to speculate. I will tell you this: the governor talked about old men having to go to the bathroom. 54-year-old women do as well, so we don't have to get me to a bathroom break.
We'll take 5.
She said she got to go to the bathroom. I want to see the room. I want to see who's in the room. Did she say she got to go to bed? Oh, Lord, have mercy. She's being dragged all over the internet, y'all. That room is packed. If I would have went down there, I gotta text my people. Let me see if they're down there. Hold on. Let me see. Somebody said somebody just sent me a thing saying she got a smart mouth. Oh, thank you. They said she's cocky. Let me text my people, see what they up to in there. I gotta go pick up my medicine. I gotta go pick up my medicine, y'all. I gotta go pick up 2 medicines. Hey, Kiki. Man, I got people telling me she's spicy. I am going to sit here and mind my business and drink my water. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drink my water and mind my business. I said I'm going to think of things that's lovely, things that are pure, things that are good report.
I'm going to extend this to a 30-minute recess so that we can all grab lunch. 30-minute recess. We'll grab lunch and be back.
Okay, there go George. George is down there, y'all. George Sheedy is down there. I see George. I'm going to text him. I'm going to say, hey, George. Let me text him right now since he's running his mouth. Let me text George. Let me see if he answers his phone if I call him. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if he answers. Okay, let me see if he answers. I see him standing there.
This is George Cheedy. I'm sorry.
Oh, he didn't answer his phone. I see him standing there. Just answer your phone, George. Okay, I just told him to answer his phone. I see him. That's it. That's her bodyguard. That guy with the scarf. That's one of her bodyguard. He's always down there. And the lady with the blue is her other bodyguard. Oh, and of course you see what's the name right in front of us? She's another bodyguard. Yeah, I see her right in front of us. They at the they're not at court. They're at the Senate. They're in the dome, the golden dome. At the you know, what is that thing called down there? They're not in court. They're at the you know the dome thing. The golden dome, Kiki. I'm trying to call people that's there. Hold on a second. Let me see if. The Capitol. Thank you. Thank you, Kiki. I forgot it's the Capitol. Why they turn it off? Okay, they're back. I was gonna say, why they turn it off? I'm trying to reach out to my news folks and see if they what's going on behind the scene down there. Yo, I gotta go find some food because I'm starting feeling funny again. I drank a protein shake earlier, but I didn't drink the whole thing because I don't like the Okay, I'm trying to see who else is there. Oh, they rewinded everything that was on there. All right, I'm gonna take this part of them off. Hold on, take them off for a minute. So they're on their lunch break. They'll be back at 1 o'clock. Oh, I just got the message. They'll be back at 1. See if George. Let's see what George says. Answer the phone.
This is George.
He's not answering his phone, y'all. George is not answering his phone. George is not answering his phone. Let me see who else would be down there. Let's see if who else. Joseph. Let me see if Joseph is down there. I am contacting some folks, y'all. Just hold on a second. People that's there. Okay, hold on a second, y'all. We got the political folks covering the case, not the regular people, just the political people. So that's why most of my people are not there. The ones that was covering YSL with me, they're not there because these are the political reporters that's covering these. Members, we're gonna set up something for you guys later on. Remember what I told you? I got some juicy stuff for you guys. Okay. The guy Renner, the one they said allegedly unalived his parents, they said he's not standing for the hearing today because he is not medically cleared. He's not medically cleared, so he's not going to be at the initial hearing for his arraignment. All right, let's see. Let's see. What can we? They're not back yet. They'll be back at 1:00. Oh my God, my back is hurting. My back is hurting. All right, I'm gonna put the music on for a second. I'll be back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Put this little music on here. Hold on.
Sylvia in that courtroom crying. All day long she's making time. Notes in hand, she's got the plan. Comes home late, shines like a star. Yeah, she's here to break it down. Justice found without a frown. In our chat with hearts so true, Sylvia's magic comes right through. Feel it, baby, feel the light. Soulful notes on the inside. Sylvia's truth makes us sway. All night long we groove and play. She's the queen with a golden touch. In her words we trust so much. Courtroom battles fade away. She brings the light in the day. Slide it slyly, can't deny. Sylvia knows just how to fly. All I want, she melts away, bringing soul to every day. Feel it, baby, feel the light. Soulful notes on the inside. Sylvia's truth makes us sway. All night long we groove and play.
This stupid computer flashing again. Oh my God, this flashing thing get on my nerve. It's messing with my eyes. Stop. Hold on. Let's see. You got to figure out why this thing keep flashing. Oh my God. I got to stop this thing from flashing. But can I dump it in here somewhere? I think they're coming back, y'all. I hear noise. Yeah, they're coming back. Oh, I gotta get my phone again. Because I put it on the other side. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me go get my phone.
Our members of the committee, we're going to reconvene. Thank you all for your time this morning. For those of you at home wondering why I've been the only one answering questions, the committee policy for the duration of this committee under the leadership of Chairman Cowsert has been that questions would come to the chair of the committee. And so that's what I've been doing so far this morning. And then in conjunction with that, any questions from the minority party would go through the minority leader or an individual designated by the minority leader. And Leader Jones is here. You've indicated you will be asking those questions on behalf of the minority party. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leader Jones.
And that should be pretty brief. Hopefully we're near the end here. Madam DA, nice seeing you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. I do have one quick disagreement point with you.
Mhm.
As a fellow person from the MEAC, we all know that South Carolina State University is actually the university.
There always has to be a number 2.
They did win the championship. Absolutely. I did have a question for you because I was wondering if I had the numbers correct. Did you say $80 million was spent by the AG's office in one period of year?
In 1 year,
counsel?
yes, sir.
Mhm.
I have this exhibit. You are welcome to it. It runs, and it's 80 million just for the special prosecutors. In 2025, it was 75,744,000. In 2025 to date, so the year is not over, they have spent 80,056,000. What we did was collect the 13 top people that received money, MR, because we didn't think it was necessary for people to know who they were, but you can get this off the made 8,181,000. The 13th person on the list, so everybody else is in between, made 1,050,000. This is in one annual year.
And I thank you. And thanks for clearing that up. I did have a question also about the block billing, and I know that you didn't really look at the bills, but just kind of asking from a standpoint of just, I guess, experience. It could also be just as reasonable that whoever was actually looking at the bills could say, look, I don't need every phone call. I don't need every witness name that you talk to. Just give it to me in one kind of block, and we do it that way. And by the same token, someone else could say, no, I want every single thing. And you just have a difference about how the person can input it into their particular system. Is that accurate?
Ms. Whitmore, who is the CFO for the county, is a stickler. If she paid a bill, it was done to whatever the county rules are. But again, you're asking me to speculate.
Yeah.
I never saw the bills. I don't see the invoices. And that's a good point of clarification. Several documents have been put up this morning. I can't attest to the accuracy of any of them. In fact, it is clear that some of them have been augmented and they're not authenticated documents. So no document that's been shown here today has been authenticated. And it's clear that some of them have been altered. But whether they've been altered or haven't been altered, it was my first time seeing them.
Right. In any event, however a person wants to get the billing or not, would you think that this is actually a good way for us to come up with a recommendation on how local DAs or solicitors should actually try to do their billing for outside counsel, that the Georgia General Assembly should decide this is how we should do our billing process?
What I think is that the voters should elect ethical district attorneys, and that those district attorneys should do the things that are needed to make their communities safer. And that I always like the idea of, for me, I don't think it's necessary for every DA, but I liked that the county looked at our documents. I didn't have to do that. But I knew I was a Black DA. I knew I was the first woman DA. And so I took extra precautions because I understand what that means.
Absolutely. And you also want, I think, kind of clarify on this White House trip where you're saying you were actually on the lawn. I didn't know if you want to.
I was not at the White House.
Right.
And so that has been a lie that has been purported by members of this committee. What happened is, I know we don't like to talk about Black history, right? We want to get rid of Black history museums. We want to get rid of, and I want to say this, we want to get rid of free admissions to parks on Juneteenth and on Martin Luther King's birthday. But I'll let you know something. I appreciate our president because he made free admissions to parks on my birthday. So I do appreciate that. Hopefully King Petty don't get rid of that day. But right now you can get into a federal park on my birthday for free. Now, with that being said, that was a party celebrating Black History Month. And I was so excited to get the invitation. And leaders from all across the country literally came to not the White House, because I never went to the White House on that trip. And I think I was there like 24 hours. It was at the vice president's house, but not actually at her house. It was in a tent on the lawn. Quite frankly, while we were there, I never got a chance even to meet the vice president, which was disappointing. I thought, you have all these people from all over the country there. You would like kind of do a assembly line and sign and, everybody take a picture, but that did not even occur. She did come on the stage at one point with her Secret Service all around her. I don't know what was going on, but Secret Service was all around her. But it was still a very valuable trip because I got to meet leaders from all over the country that were trying to service their communities. And so I was honored that I was thought to be a leader worthy of having an invitation to that event.
Thank you. And there was also a question about whether Judge Wade had met with somebody from the January 6th committee and things of that nature. But let me ask you this: whether that took place or not, and there's a question about that, but whether that took place or not, would that have any relevance to the co-conspirators in this case who are going around from state to different states, making that stuff about the 2020 election and actually trying to do things that they were trying to do in this case?
We based our case on what we investigated. And as someone from the South and as a Black woman, I've taken a lot of offense to this because there's been this indication that I'm not smart enough or people from the South aren't smart enough to be able to do this type of complex investigation. We did it. It was my team who did it. We did it all. And Dolezal, I hope that I pronounced your name right because I want to, Senator Dolezal, asked about ethics. I think he should know if we want a full picture of ethics that Judge McBurney, who he just mentioned, one of the fake electors threw him a fundraiser. So while we having facts, I want to make sure we get all the facts out here.
And when we're talking about also with Judge Wade billing and things of that nature, did that cause at all? I think the record would show that the vice president's personal attorney, based on what these conspirators actually were doing, actually called a former federal judge and said, you need to send out a tweet to say that Vice President Pence must actually certify this election because he was so concerned that there might be not a certification coming January 6th. Anything about this billing have any impact on any of that kind of thing taking place at all?
Nothing about this billing can bring back the 5 lives that were lost on January 6th, to include, I understand that 4 were people that were in the mob, but they didn't deserve to lose their lives. 1 is very personal to me because it was a police officer just trying to serve. And here goes another example of a good American, and this is not about parties as you all have tried to make it. They tried to kill our Vice President Pence. Now, I probably have never agreed politically with anything Pence said, but what I do know is he has a right to do his job and to be free from harm. And we're trying to, we say we're not for violent crime, but we sure like violent criminals if it's helping our cause.
And we also talked about, what is it called? Critical measures? Critical mentions. So even discussing that, would critical mentions actually have anything to do with the fact that just yesterday, as a matter of fact, 2 former co-conspirators, case has been dismissed, I think Mr. Roman and Mr. Cheeseborough, just yesterday in Wisconsin, was held to answer charges, 4 felony charges for actually creating a fake elector program that was similar to what was prosecuted right here in Georgia. That they're going to be felony charges facing those. And there were 2 conspirators in this particular case that had the same kind of scheme. Anything about his billing or anything about critical mentions have anything to do with the fact that 2 persons that were indicted in your case, right now, just yesterday, a judge in Wisconsin said, you're going to face charges, 11 charges, based on similar scheme that took place in Georgia.
No, and it should be noted that Roman was indicted in 3 separate states and that many of the co-defendants were indicted in separate states because, and let's be clear, so the record is clear. In my indictment in Arizona, they indicted John Eastman, Gina Ellis, Ruben Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and Mike Roman. Mike Roman was represented by Merchant, who came here and testified. In Wisconsin, they also indicted Cheeseborough and Roman. And so, we could go on and on about, in the federal case had only 1 defendant, Donald Trump, but he was also indicted in my case. So these defendants committed crimes in our state and other states, and there's all this talk about political enemies. Not one of these defendants do I consider to be my political enemy. I'm sorry that they think of me as an enemy. I guess they don't know that their job is to serve me, to work for me, to make life better for me and my family. But they are not my political enemy, and I actually pray for them because I see issues.
And also within Wisconsin, the quote unquote fake electors there actually got sued. And the discovery in that case was over 577 pages. Now, you didn't get to the discovery process in your particular case, but I'm just curious because we were talking about Mr. Scandalakis and his maybe how deep he got into your case. How voluminous was your case at the time it stopped?
Huge, much of this room it could fill up, if not all of this room. It was huge. It was lots of witnesses that had to do a lot of work was put into this, because I always want to make sure that I am a fair DA. And that's why you see a grand jury recommending 39 people based on their conduct being indicted, and me cutting it down to 19, because I'm only going to put forth those with the worst evidence, who did the worst things. But I'm also a fighter for victims, and I was fighting for the victims in this case. And the fact that, to some prosecutors, Ruby Freeman and her daughter have no value. She has value to me, and she should have value to other Americans, because what happened to her is horrible. And for someone to say they couldn't prosecute a defendant who came in a room and lied for the grand jury, I mean, a baby prosecutor could have prosecuted it, but, that's neither here nor there.
And lastly, where we're talking about billing being correct or things of that nature, or critical mentions, does any of that change the impact? I think what these co-conspirators were doing, based on the indictment, that the ultimate goal was to overthrow the 2020 election.
That was the ultimate goal. And we've had people that are supposed to be leaders that, instead of being leaders, are just cowering down. This country needs leaders, not cowards.
I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Leader Jones. I've got a few more questions here. Some of this, Madam DA, will be a little bit more, philosophical manner. I want to get your take on some of the testimony that we've had prior to your arrival around some of the state laws. You've shared some of your thoughts already on some of those things. But one thing that we've talked a lot about in the committee is the use of special purpose grand juries. Can you, for the benefit of those watching, outline the difference between a grand jury and a special purpose grand jury?
A special purpose grand jury is for the purpose of investigating. They are not legally allowed to put forth an indictment. And so that is what a special purpose grand jury is for.
So, and you referenced this earlier, the process of going to two grand juries. In your case, with the use of the special purpose grand jury, you went from that special purpose, which was used for investigatory means that you mentioned, then ended up ultimately with a grand jury. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. It's been described to me that a grand jury exists to essentially put a check on prosecutorial power, to require the prosecutor to have to prove some element of grounds to bring an indictment. Would you agree with that statement?
It's one way to phrase it.
How would you phrase it?
That a grand jury is made up of citizens, that the citizens are brought there. I'm the only DA in the state. I do grand jury 4 days a week. So I have a grand jury. It runs on Monday and Tuesday. And I have a B grand jury. It runs on Thursday and Friday. And we bring forth cases to the grand jury, where usually law enforcement, but sometimes lay witnesses testify. If the grand jury finds that there is adequate evidence, they will put forth an indictment. It should be known by the general public that not all felonies require an indictment. Some of your lower level felonies you can do by accusation, just like you could do a misdemeanor. But for any serious felony, you need to go to the grand jury.
You may have touched on this, and I'm just going to ask you to, in the context of this conversation, outline it again if you don't mind. What was the reason for the use of a special purpose grand jury in this election case?
To investigate, to make sure. I took this matter very seriously. I was not just going to charge people with a crime before I found evidence. And sadly, a lot of people in government, the governor, and other officials, refused to testify unless they had a subpoena. Well, I can't get a subpoena unless I have a special purpose grand jury. And so we served them with subpoenas, and they honored their subpoenas, and they came forward.
So with the grand jury for out-of-state witnesses, there's no way to get, for a regular grand jury, to get a subpoena?
For a regular grand jury, but by the time you're before a regular grand jury, you're indicting. And I didn't go into this case knowing that there would even be an indictment brought forth.
Tell me about a material witness warrant, what the process is to get one, and when one would be used.
When someone won't cooperate, you have to go get one.
Do you have to get one for all out-of-state witnesses unless you're using a grand jury? I'm sorry, a special purpose grand jury?
You can get a material witness warrant for a witness in a trial. We have had to get material witness warrants for someone in a trial. So I don't know that I understand your question, but basically when someone will not cooperate, it requires you to go get a warrant. Typically you have to send someone to that state. They have to testify as to why this person is material. Then the judge there makes a determination. Yes, they are material. They sign the warrant, they come down. That's very brief, but that gives you kind of the gist of what a material witness warrant has been used. I've used them many times in my career.
My understanding is essentially you need two judges. What sounds like one's the out-of-state judge, one will be a Georgia judge to compel that testimony. Is that accurate?
Because they have to make a determination that it's actually material.
And with a special purpose grand jury, you have the ability to send essentially a letter and a warrant to whoever you wish and compel them to testify without the process of going through the material witness warrant. Is that accurate?
Yeah, again, we're getting into the weeds. We needed a special purpose grand jury because I need to be able to issue subpoenas. So you can issue subpoenas from the grand jury to bring the people there to testify. And so if you're asking that we do that process, you know, we fought in every court in this land. Lindsey Graham took us all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, who unanimously, I believe, I think it was unanimously voted that he would have to come into appear.
We are getting in the weeds. Just indulge us because we do need to, the law needs to be specific. And not sure if you watched the testimony. We had a couple of DAs that testified, one of whom, and I apologize, I don't recall the gentleman's name. He essentially, I'm going to paraphrase here, said that he believed that, or I think he stated that it would be fine with him if we struck the entire code section as it related to special purpose grand juries, because in his opinion, that kind of blurred the line between investigator and prosecutor and put you in the position of kind of being the investigator and the trier of fact. I don't know if you've heard about this testimony or not.
I haven't heard this testimony, but what I do know is Coca-Cola and the girl that sells lemonade, they both sell liquids, but it ain't the same work. And so you brought people from jurisdictions that do not do the complexity of cases that I do. Now, all work is honorable work, so hear that. And prosecutors everywhere are trying their best to uphold the law. But to get somebody from a jurisdiction where they got 15 lawyers and, you know, they bring a grand jury once every 6 months, and to ask them to discuss my work where I'm running grand jury 4 times a year and 12,000 new felony case, 4 times a week, and, you know, 12,000 felonies a year in the most complex cases, you know, that this state sees. I don't think you were talking to people that you should have been. So I disagree with him, and I don't even think he has the ability to comment on the work of the Fulton County DA.
Well,
and I noticed that you didn't bring any diversity here when you brought witnesses. You brought all Republican, Caucasian people to come and to tell you about my work. I don't need daddy to tell me how to do my work.
Oh my God. Did she say daddy?
Any of the DAs that came commenting on your case at all or your work at all. It was more so trying to get a broad swath of the state, somewhere from.
But it would be like me telling you how to run a DA's office in a rural community. I don't know.
Well, the challenge for us, Madam DA, is we have to write laws that do give respect and deference to the reality that there are larger jurisdictions like yours, and there are smaller ones. There are a lot of DAs around the state that have to follow the same.
Well, that brings us to another law. When you all are trying to decide the salaries of district attorneys, you surely should not compare those that have my volume of work to those that have smaller jurisdictions of work. Now, I know it brings ire to some, that is the Democratic DAs that keep most of this state safe, but the reality is they run the largest jurisdictions. They happen to, in most cases, be minority, and they deserve to make more money.
Whoa, now she want more money. We can't hear you.
I think we'll defer to you, not because you were a governor, but because you started your illustrious career in the Georgia State Senate. So, well, your first elected role was in this chamber.
With a grand jury, and there are lawyers everywhere that do not understand. When a grand jury, you present a bill of indictment or special presentment, you can do it either way, to a grand jury, then there has to be laid before the grand jury a specific bill of indictment alleging facts, circumstances, and the defendants. And you just can't use a regular grand jury to say, well, we need to investigate this. The law goes back to the common law. It has to be an indictment, perfect in form, laid before the grand jury, charging a specific person with a specific crime. So there is no way for a regular grand jury to investigate, unless they are given some civil investigation powers, for example, the jail, things like that. But in a criminal case, the case has to be made on that bill of indictment. So in a investigative grand jury, and they're rarely used, but investigative grand jury says something went wrong here. And I don't know exactly who should be indicted, and I don't know exactly what they should be indicted for, but it deserves investigation. And where a grand jury may be drawn and is set in statute, an investigative grand jury requires the additional step, so that it won't be misused, that the additional step that, in fact, it must be approved by not only the district attorney, but the Superior Chief Judge. Not that I'm trying to instruct you on the law, but
Remind me, Madam DA, how many times in your career as the DA of Fulton County have you employed a special purpose grand jury?
Once.
Chairman Calzert, who obviously I've said before can't be here today, he has contemplated this concept of a statewide grand jury. And one of the things that he and I talked about was just getting your thoughts on whether it's appropriate for the Fulton County DA and Fulton County grand jurors to have sole authority and responsibility, essentially for prosecuting all state level officials, simply because the capital is here in Atlanta, or what your thoughts might be on with that resting with the Attorney General and a local municipality. In this case, that would be, or a local jurisdiction, which would be your office.
And that's the real issue. And I know that it bothers you all that the district attorney in Fulton County is me. But I think you absolutely need, when laws are broken in someone's jurisdiction, they should have the ability to prosecute them. There is no need to do that in that way. And the reality is, I prosecute more cases than the Attorney General. We are equipped to do it. We are doing it. I think that what has happened is the complexion of the DAs have changed.
Oh my God.
And so now there's all this concern. Now we need a QAnon committee, the oversight committee y'all have come up with. Now we need a statewide grand jury, and we need to take rights away. No, it's just fine how it's always been.
I think what he's
DA
contemplating
was a black.
he kind of jotted some thoughts out to me, would be concurrent jurisdiction, where you would still have autonomy, but the Attorney General would also have the ability to prosecute cases. You would be opposed to.
They already have that ability. Okay. They have that ability. So then they have the ability.
That may be the distinction that he was getting to. I just want to get on the record because he couldn't be here today, and that is something that he asked about. We heard from, and I'm just going to summarize this because I know we are getting short on time. I do want to talk about federal grants because it was discussed in this committee.
Did you hear me say I just passed another audit?
I did hear you say that, I believe. That asked and answered, I believe, as y'all would say. And I don't think you gave us this number, but what's a ballpark number of federal grants in an average year of what y'all receive? Is it hundreds of thousands? Is it a couple $1 million? Is it?
I don't know an exact answer. I can tell you we do excellent work with our grants, and because of the current administration, not just in my office, but all over the country, people are losing valuable grant money to do the work of the people. And that is going to require some work of the legislature because the state's going to have to kick in more. This year alone, I lost 14 employees as of September 30th because not as many grants are being given. Grant work that just does excellent things for community. And the grants, so that we're clear, they're actually not the Fulton County District Attorney's grants. They're not the Atlanta Judicial Circuit's grants. They are the grants of the county. So they are not my grants. So that's a misnomer slang.
Computers, or were they admin? What do they do?
A combination of everything. Some lawyers, some investigators, some staff.
Okay. I want to
And those weren't all federal grants.
I want to move quickly through, and I don't want to belabor this, but there was a letter that I want to ask you about that came from Senator Grassley relative to grants. And then we heard testimony from someone who I believe used to work in your office, is no longer employed, named Amanda Timpson.
Yeah, all of her, 5 of her cases have been dismissed now. So I think that you should know that on summary judgment, because she gave this committee information that was incorrect, and her cases have been dismissed. You're not soothsayers. You wouldn't know that as you went into the future, but facts were provided to you that were inaccurate, not true, and those cases were dismissed. And it's about 5 cases, some dismissed by her counsel. One was just dismissed on summary judgment. I've not misused grant funds. You were given false information.
Let's
That's not the only witness that gave you false information, but that one certainly did.
Okay. And I'm going to kind of cross-reference a couple of things that was the testimony from Ms. Timpson. I also referenced a couple of things in the letter. The letter specifically notes that your office received $500,000 in 2020 to open a youth empowerment and gang prevention center.
You know, I wasn't the DA in 2020.
Correct. I'm just going to ask you if the money for the grant has been used for that purpose, to your knowledge.
I wasn't the DA in 2020. I can't speculate.
After receiving Mr. Grassley's letter, did you have the opportunity to look into the use of that
I don't
$500,000?
believe I did. I don't think I responded to Mr. Grassley.
Okay. The letter highlights a report that roughly $89,000 of those funds have been diverted to what is known as the Offender Alumni Association. Is that report accurate to your knowledge?
I don't have any knowledge, and I'm not going to speculate.
Okay. When Ms. Timpson was here, she previously testified that she discovered the office was using these grants and expenses that were not eligible for the grant. Specifically, she mentioned swag, computers, and travel.
And didn't know what she was talking about, which is why her cases were dismissed.
So is it your testimony that the funds were not used for swag, travel, or computers?
Let me speak specifically to the one that I know about.
Okay.
I bought a computer for a grant employee. I did not use grant funds to buy it. I can, which I do with all my grants. It's never enough. So you always do things to support the people working on the grants. But what I can tell you is her cases were dismissed because they had no merit. One was just dismissed on summary judgment.
She testified that she had brought this to your attention in late 2021. Do you recall that conversation?
I do not recall it. What I recall is Ms. Timpson being a troubled employee that did not do well at the office, that I moved her. I remember she was one of those people I interviewed. I remember feeling terribly sorry for her because she's got a tragic story. So I was proud of that. She had kind of lifted herself up by her bootstraps, but she ended up being an employee that was a holdover employee and not very good at her job. We tried to work with her. Ultimately, she put some of my employees in fear and she was let go. And that's what I recall.
And she was let go in January 2022.
I don't remember. I've had up to 400 employees before the ARPA money was employed. Like I literally have no idea. She obviously was not a lawyer or an investigator, and that is the tiers of my office, a lower level employee. I don't remember.
Okay. Going back to Grassley's letter,
I told you I didn't respond to Grassley's letter. I don't remember it. It doesn't stand out to me. It wasn't important to me.
I'll just highlight for you one thing he said, just allow you to clarify if it's accurate or not. He cites a report in the letter that says that in 2023, 98% of these federal grant funds were spent on travel and conferences.
I don't know if that's true or not. I doubt it's true, but if it was spent on travel and conferences, it would have been allowances of the grant. But that sounds inaccurate to me. But again, we're speculating.
Okay. Chairman Grassley asked you for a series of documents, and based on what you just said, I think I know the answer to this question, but I just want to clarify. He asked for a list of all federal grants received by the office since 2019, complete accounting of all expenditures of grant funds, reports related to planned expenditures of those funds. Have you complied with Mr. Grassley's request?
I believe Mr. Grassley was ignored.
Okay. Would you be willing to provide those documents to this committee?
I think you've been provided documents. What did happen was I provided documents to Jim Jordan.
Do you know if federal grant uses and sources and details that was requested by Mr. Grassley would have been captured in what you provided to Mr. Jordan?
Have no idea. This is a large office. It's not a rural office. I have a grant team.
So if we request these documents, you'd be willing to provide them to the committee?
whatever's been provided is what I was willing to provide.
Whoa.
We'll consider. But I think it is included because I went to Washington on Jim Jordan.
Can you say that one more time?
I went to Washington on the Jim Jordan twice. And not only did they have all the documents, they sent another team of auditors down and they said everything's correct.
I just passed a federal DOJ audit this week.
The Fulton County Ethics Code was amended in April of 24 to clarify that it includes elected officials. Is that your
Haven't-
understanding?
I have no idea what Fulton County did.
That wouldn't apply to her.
Yeah, I'm not a county elected official. I'm a state.
She's a state elected,
Right.
not a county.
Okay, so your position would be that the county ethics code, anti-nepotism code that they updated to include elected officials, when they expanded that scope, that would not include you. That would be your
There's
position.
county electeds and there's a state elected. I am a state elected.
Okay.
I represent the Atlanta Judicial Circuit.
Does PAC have any sort of model language around either internal ethics codes for your office to use or any sort of anti-nepotism
You have to ask Pat.
language? Are you aware of
I'm not.
anything that PAC has provided? Can you provide the committee with any sort of internal ethics guidelines that you have, as well as any sort of anti-nepotism policy that your office has in writing?
And that's the thing that we'll consider and decide whether it's relevant to the inquiry or whether it's privileged or whether it's already received.
Okay. Does an internal ethics policy exist in writing?
You know, you mentioned companies, and you know, it's interesting because I also saw where you posted where it's always Fulton County. But the truth is, you have a company that you've listed on your disclosures for finances, and that company stole millions of dollars from Fulton. If you want to look at ethics, you might want to look at that.
Does your office have
And
any
it's, the
sort of
company's name is
internal
Teletrax, in case
ethics?
anyone thinks I'm making this up. And people died because that company did not provide the services that they purported to provide.
Does your office have an internal ethics policy that's in writing?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. I want to lastly just ask a couple of questions about the Open Records Act.
Let me tell you something. I have a 92% conviction rate and a 92% clearance rate with open records from January of 24 till November 30th of 2025. I've gotten over 1,600 open records requests. This ain't a rural town.
Say that number again. I'm sorry.
Over 1,600. And we have cleared 92%. Now, it should be noted that in 24, people were abusing the open records thing. Ms. Merchant, as you mentioned, over 30 requests for open records. Lots of people were abusing it. And it troubles me that in 25, I have to now start charging people for open records because I realize people will abuse it. But 92% of the open records requested, we have cleared.
Can you define cleared? What do you mean when we say cleared?
They've asked for documents and we've given them to them.
Okay. And you mentioned you're now having to charge an hourly rate. There were no hourly rates. that
Not
were
from
being charged
January
before.
1st of 2021. That was a novel idea. A young, naive, new district attorney did. I thought that I could provide documents, or I wanted to have transparency. I wanted to be able to communicate with the public, and I wanted indigent people as well as rich people to be able, if they had something, to give it to them. What I didn't know is that there were a lot of evil people that would abuse that to make up lies.
Can you clarify for me? You said you started charging just earlier this year.
January of 2025.
Okay.
But I don't take in those funds. I have Ms. Whitmore do that.
Just prior to your getting sworn in, did your office charge for open records requests?
I believe the prior DA did charge for open records, but you know, when you become the new DA, you have new ideas. One of my new ideas was I wanted to offer this level of transparency to my constituents. It was
Okay.
abused by people all over the country.
You referenced certain individuals abusing the process.
Absolutely.
When you said 30, just to take the example of Ms. Merchant, just since she has been before the committee, you said she filed 30 open records requests. In what
More
period?
than 30. It was 30 it was a little bit in excess of 30. Yes, I did say that.
Over what period of time?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
generally speaking, in kind of the scope of the
I don't remember,
case
so
of
I'm
the
not going to
elect-
speculate.
Okay. What, in your opinion,
I
what
know
should
she also came in here and testified that I diverted money from my homicide backlog. I cleared my homicide backlog, all of it. Didn't divert any money. People came in here and lied to you. You should be upset about that.
in the as you think through the law, the open records law currently is unlimited, right? Somebody can.
I think if you
can-
want a new open records law, you should make the legislature have to answer open records. That would be my recommendation for a new law.
I would vote for that as well. But let me just get I just want to get your opinion on the scope and how you would limit that, how you determine abuse versus non-abuse.
How I would limit open records? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, if you were to take an extreme case, right? If you say 30,
I don't think that district attorneys should actually be subject to the open records, but if they are subject to the open records, obviously attorney work product should not be subject to it. Only cases that are, completely closed, and I mean closed past a habeas, you should have to give.
Help me understand why you don't think you should be subject to open records. I would agree with you that the General Assembly should be.
Judges are not subject to open records.
Do you think they should be?
Did I think judges should be subject to it? Not their work product, because judges also have work product. But I think they should be akin to DAs.
And do you think DAs should be akin to the legislature? Or you think that the legislature should be akin to a county commissioner?
I don't know that I understand your question, but I think that you should be subject to open records. I think that you're making laws that are supposed to be in the benefit of the community, as opposed to this day where we're wasting a lot of time, where me and my staff could be keeping the community safe, but I'm here to do this song and dance with you. The reality is I brought forth an indictment because people came in my county, they committed a crime, and they got charged. They didn't get charged because of their race. They didn't get charged because of their political party. They got charged because they came in my community and committed a crime, and 2 grand juries passed forth an indictment. And this is what you should know. I don't care how many times they threatened me. I don't care that they've threatened my family. Actually, just yesterday, I went home and the Department of Justice sent me a letter about another person that they are prosecuting, and that I can come in January because this person swatted my home as well as the home of other public officials. This has to stop. What you all need to do is to pass laws to allow people to do their jobs, to do them safely. What happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene is horrible. That she had to quit her job because they were bomb threats to her house and threatening her children. But she didn't care when it was me. She didn't care when my children were threatened. She didn't care that I haven't had the ability to live in my house. But I'm a better human being than that. I don't want any of your lives threatened. I may not care for you personally. I may not believe in your politics. I may think that today is nothing but more than evil and you trying to get yourself elected. All of that being said, I don't think anyone should threaten you and your family. And I think if you're here to protect, you ought to establish laws that if someone uses hate speech and that creates an environment where people like myself are threatened doing their job, we ought to do something about it in Georgia.
Just a couple more quick questions on the open records law and your thoughts on it. And it doesn't, and I think it is a challenge to get to this concept of what is abuse and what is not abuse. As it relates to Ms. Merchant, though, the court seemed to indicate that
The court indicated that a CFO would not be in the weeds, as I was not. And we gave Ms. Merchant many, many documents, and she abused it. So if you look at what they said, the court said that the CFO, which is what I am of the district attorney's office, I wouldn't be involved in the weeds. What I know is that when you have 1,600 people requesting, we do the very best we can. What's a shame is because we had people abusive, I now have 3 attorneys working on open records, 2 master level peoples and an employees. None of those people are doing the work that I care about. What I care about is getting gangsters off my street. What I care about is getting people that sexually assault children. I don't hang out with human traffickers or the victims. I care about representing people that are trafficked. Like, we've got problems here in Georgia. They're real problems. This is a major metropolitan city, and I'm standing on the the line here trying to keep people safe, and y'all have me in here with this foolishness. I indicted them. I'm indict them again if they committed a crime in my jurisdiction. I don't care if you like it. It's not
Let me get to the
1948. No, let me get to this.
I didn't
It's
get to the
not
question.
1948. I know that you're
Madam
offended
DA,
that it.
I didn't. So here's the question. The what I was asking was, and I think I didn't get there. The court essentially found that Miss Merchant was treated differently than other people making open records requests. You're correct. It did find that you were not in the weeds on dealing with that. What I'm curious about in response to the court case, have there been any internal changes with how you handle?
I now have 3 lawyers on open records, 2 master level people, and an assistant. That was the change.
Okay, so
I had to waste more resources to not do the main thing. So you want something else? Give the district attorney in Fulton County more lawyers so that she can do our job, because what happens in Fulton is going to impact the entire community. Gangbangers don't stay just in Fulton. They go to DeKalb, they go to Coweta, they go to Douglas. And I'm here on the front line keeping people safe. And you talk about critical mention.
Just walk me
it
through that
wasn't
change.
just about this case. I prosecute a lot of high profile cases.
Walk me through the change real quick. What did you have before in terms of staff, and what do you have today?
When I started, I had one.
Well, when I say before, let's call it 2024 versus 2025.
I've increased staff. I now have 2 special assistant attorney generals that work on it. I have two special assistant prosecutors that work part-time on it. I have right now 2 lawyers that work on it full-time. I'm bringing a 3rd one in. I have 2 master level people that work on it. When I first got there was 1 lady with a master's degree. We've had to expand and expand and expand for this foolishness. And what I'm supposed to be doing, and my main emphasis, what I focus my day-to-day on, is making sure I lock up murderers, making sure I lock up sexual offenders, making sure I lock folks up that are dangerous. And I also spend my time on making sure we have programs for people so we can turn their lives around. Which is why I got a 92% conviction rate. I must be doing something right.
Leader Jones, I've asked a couple of questions since you've had the opportunity to ask. I want to defer to see if you got any questions you'd like to ask before we wrap up here. Let me turn your mic on.
One final one, you kind of touched on it, and that was, at the end of the day, this case here, this conspiracy case that took place, why did you bring this case?
Because folks came in my jurisdiction and broke the law. And as elected officials, there are things that are precious and that are our responsibility. One, in a free society, is keeping people safe, right? And I stand on the line keeping people safe every single day. I have dedicated my entire career to making sure that people are safe and that they feel valued. Children feel valued, no matter who you are. See, I'm not like these people. I believe in diversity. I've sat on my floor and cried with little white children, Black children, Spanish children, and I fight with my last breath to keep those people safe. But I have also prosecuted Black people, white people, Asian people. It doesn't matter to me. It seems to matter to some. So I brought this case because they came in this jurisdiction and broke the law. And they didn't only break the law here, they broke it other places. Because the other thing that we have to do as a free society is we have to protect elections. It is important. If the people of this jurisdiction, the 19th, voted Senator Blake Tillery to be that senator, then I have to work to make sure that he is instilled into office. If someone does something, goes into a voting booth like they did in Coffee County, they do that. If they threaten workers, these little old people that work the polls, how dare somebody threaten them? And how dare you all not take that to be important? Is it not important because it was an older Black female? It ought to be important to everybody. That's who you all are here to protect, those that cannot protect themselves. And I'm willing to stand on the line so y'all can keep threatening me, keep bringing me to these committees, keep auditing me, and I'm going to keep doing my job with excellence.
All right. No other questions.
Madam DA, would like to thank you for appearing today before the committee. Governor Barnes would like to do the same.
Good luck and God bless you all.
This meeting
Happy holidays.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. I was on the other side of the room listening, y'all. All right. She just made black women look bad. She made herself look like an angry black woman. It's my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. But anyway, y'all, I was on the other side of the room. I was like, I got stuff to do. I don't have time just to sit here. I was just like, oh, too much. Let's see. I thought it was going to be something major. She didn't answer anything. She didn't say much. Surely didn't say much. All right, y'all. No, Miss Love made black women look bad. That's what you said, Miss Love made black women look bad. All right, yeah, I'm about to go. I'll see you guys later. She said, oh, y'all so funny. All right, I'm about to get off this live and go take care of some business. Take care of some business. Y'all, people say they love my hair color. They love it. They love my hair color. But you know, you could tell where the gray part is, really. They love, you see it's growing back already? Look at the gray hair. Look. Look, I want to show y'all. Look at this. All in the root. Look at the roots. Look at the roots growing. Woo, y'all, this gray hair of mine. You said the same, the way some disrespect accomplished black women is disgraceful. Oh, I didn't disrespect nobody. I just said she made black women look terrible. The way she sounded all angry. She make it sound like angry black woman. That's what she sound like. It ain't got nothing to do with her accomplishments. She don't have to talk like that. She doesn't have to talk so angry. She's talking angry. She could have been soft talking instead of all that. I'm just giving my opinion. Let me get off this live because folks gonna start with this. I'm not fighting nobody about nothing. I just gave my little 2 cents and I'm gonna go on and mind my business now, y'all, because folks want to come in here and say all this stuff. I'm gonna go later, y'all. I'll see you later. Serena, I'm gonna call you. I gotta talk to you. All right, I gotta talk to you, Serena. All right, y'all. Bye.
Thank you for watching the infamous Sylvia channel, where laughter and fun make up our panel. Together we build this digital spree. We appreciate you and our growing family. With mods by our side and chat flowing free in this online space. It's just you and me, we laugh until tears roll down like the rain. this virtual world, you ease all my pains. We're family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We cherish the moments, the highs and lows, from the latest gossip to stories untold. You're more than a viewer, you're part of the crew in this space of ours. It's all because of you. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign, enjoys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign, enjoys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Minds in check, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night.